Hello students, welcome to Answer Writing program. Today we are going to discuss 3 questions from GS3 Environment section. As we know, the Environment section for GS3 is having the topics such as conservation, environmental pollution and degradation, environmental impact assessment. Specifically, the question for the today is taken from the topic of institutions, policies, laws, rules and schemes and initiative for mitigating and adaptation related to the climate change. So let us start our discussion and let's have an overview of our questions. So the first question is taken from the topic of green hydrogen and how green hydrogen can ensure the energy security and can battle against the climate change. Our second question is taken from the topic of circular economy approach and how it can be an effective solution for the waste management specifically in India. The third question is related to the agroforestry and its role for fighting against the climate change. Let us start with the first question. So the first question is related to the green hydrogen. It is saying, what is green hydrogen? Discuss the role of green hydrogen mission in ensuring energy security as well as giving impetus to our battle against the climate change. Okay, before starting this question, let us briefly try to understand the demand of the question. So here the first part of question is specifically asking about the green hydrogen, what actually green hydrogen is. So we have to explain about the green hydrogen process of making it, or we may define it. The second part of question is asking about to discuss the role of green hydrogen mission. So we have launched a mission, National Green Hydrogen Mission. We have to discuss about the mission briefly and how this mission is helping us out to secure energy in India and also to fight against the climate change. So this again has two demands with respect to the energy security and with respect to fight a battle against the climate change. Okay. So before starting our question, let us just briefly try to understand the importance of the green hydrogen or what green hydrogen is and why green hydrogen is giving emphasis across the globe. So see, try to understand the utility of the hydrogen. Hydrogen is used across the different sectors. It has different industrial applications. It is used for the pharmaceutical application, It is used in petrochemical industry. It is used in fertilizer sector and some other industries also. So presently the problem with hydrogen is that it is coming from the unsustainable sources. For example, coal-based hydrogen production is there or natural gas-based hydrogen production is there, which is unsustainable. That is why we are trying to provide a thrust towards the green hydrogen production, not only in India but across the globe. So briefly just try to understand what are the different methods or different kind of hydrogen available across the globe. Okay, so just try to understand. See, if we are producing hydrogen and if it is as an input we are using coal. So the hydrogen is produced with the help of coal. The problem here is it will do the emission of the CO2. So the hydrogen is getting produced but it is emitting carbon dioxide, which again is a greenhouse gas. So this production of the hydrogen is known as the brown hydrogen. Okay, coal-based hydrogen. So around 18% production across the globe is coal-based production. What is grey hydrogen? So grey hydrogen is nothing but the production of the hydrogen with the help of natural gas. And around 48% production across the globe is based on the natural gas based production, and it is again causing the emission of the CO2, which again a greenhouse gas. So and if we are capable of capturing this this carbon dioxide which is getting emitted through the process, if we are capturing it somewhere, then the entire process will be known as the production of the hydrogen with the blue hydrogen production method. So capturing it, then it will be known as the blue hydrogen. Okay, so we have seen the different methods such as brown hydrogen, gray hydrogen and blue hydrogen. Okay, here in the entire process we have seen the emission of the greenhouse gases there, or we are trying to capture it, but it is not sustainable way of production of the hydrogen, and that is an issue That is why we need the production of the hydrogen in such a way which is much more sustainable. So what is green hydrogen, or what is the process of producing hydrogen in a green manner? Here the production of the hydrogen is generated, or the hydrogen is generated with the help of H2O. So H2O is being used as an input, which is available in abundance in nature, and also which is not harmful to the nature. Okay, and through the process of electrolysis, so here we use anode and cathode, we are producing hydrogen. So H2O will get converted into H2 and O. And here the interesting part about this process is the energy which is given to the anode and cathode, the electrolysis process, the energy is further coming from the renewable energy sources such as solar energy, because see, for electrolysis process we require energy, and from where it is coming? It is coming from the renewable energy sources such as solar energy or wind energy. So see, here you can see the entire process from input, which is the water, the energy, which is renewable energy, the output is hydrogen, and no carbon dioxide or no greenhouse gas emission is there. So the entire process is green. The entire production of the hydrogen and the process involved is a green process where no carbon dioxide emission or greenhouse gas emission we can see. That is why it is a much more sustainable way of production. Also the sources which we are using, resources which we are using are renewable, which are available in nature in abundance. So there is no need to get worried about the sources also, because it is available in abundance. So that is something which we need to understand related to the green hydrogen. Now let us come to the demand of the question. So for these kind of question, what we can do into the introduction, we can write down the definition. What is the definition? We just have seen the process, that is the definition only. So green hydrogen referred to as a clean hydrogen. We have seen the entire process is clean because no carbon dioxide gas emission is being done. So the entire process is clean, and it is produced by using electricity from renewable sources such as solar or wind power, and water is split into 2 hydrogen atom and 1 oxygen atom through the process called electrolysis. So we have just now seen. And also see, the demand of the question is to define green hydrogen and also to explain some briefly about green hydrogen mission. So just briefly give about what National Green Hydrogen Mission is. So National Green Hydrogen Mission was approved by the Union Cabinet in the year 22 with intended objective of making India as a leading producer and supplier of green hydrogen in the world, and to reduce the dependence on the imported fossil fuel and feedstock. It aims to develop a green hydrogen production capacity of at least 5 MMT per annum by 2030. So let us just briefly try to understand what National Green Hydrogen Mission is. See, presently India is dependent on the import of the energy sources. See, India is a growing nation. We are moving from developing to towards developed nation. Okay, so the energy requirement is also going to increase in the future. Okay, our population is also growing, so we require energy. That is true. We cannot reduce the energy requirement. But the problem with energy is, with respect to India, we are dependent on the fossil fuel, and mostly these fossil fuels are coming from the import. Okay, we are importing coal, for example, we are importing coal from the Australia. Also, we are importing petrochemicals from the different countries such as Middle East or Russia or other countries. So this called a huge in terms of the revenue sources. Also, these are negatively impacting our climate, because you know the industrial application of the energy, the application into the automobile sector or different industrial purposes do emit the greenhouse gases, which is again impacting the climate. So we have, and also we are having the challenges such as climate change, which we really need to fight on. And we are also a signatory to the Paris Climate Agreement, where we have to reduce our emission. So that is why India is trying to move toward the renewable energy. How we are trying to move toward renewable energy? We are trying to build the capacity of 450 gigawatt renewable energy capacity by 2030. Okay, and we are also trying to become energy independent by 2047. Okay, so that is why And also we have a aim to become a net neutral carbon. With respect to carbon, we want to become the net neutral country by 2070. So we have all these goals in my mind, and for fulfilling these all requirements we require green hydrogen. Okay, so green hydrogen ensuring that we are building capacity with respect to the sources, with respect to the producer, becoming the leading producer in production of the green hydrogen, and not only becoming a producer but becoming a supplier, exporter of the green hydrogen. And the capacity building is about 5 MMT with by 2030 per annum. And there is a target, like there is a vision that if we are doing this, we will be able to reduce our carbon emission by 50 MMT per annum. So again, we are reducing our greenhouse gas emission with the help of developing our economy with respect to the green hydrogen mission. Also, we are trying to develop the job opportunities. It has been estimated that around 8 lakh jobs can be created with respect to this sector. So that is the aim and objective of the green hydrogen mission, which we have just discussed, to become a leading producer nation and also become a supplier, build a capacity, build an industry, and also reduce the climate change related challenges. Okay, so that is the demand. We have introduced our answer in a much more holistic way. Now come to the body part. Okay, so the body is asking about two things. First one is related to energy security. Let us see how National Green Hydrogen Mission will ensure energy security in India. Diversification of the energy sources. As we have seen, we are mostly dependent on the fossil fuel. If we are using hydrogen for the energy, we will be able to diversify our energy sources. Okay, we can use the hydrogen for different application, for different industrial purposes. So we'll be able to diversify in a much more holistic way. The second one would be renewable energy integration. How we are ensuring renewable energy integration? Because see, for making the hydrogen, we are using the renewable energy such as solar energy and wind energy. As we have just seen, for the process of electrolysis, we are using solar and wind energy. So this is holistically integrating the different renewable energy processes. So that is again a very good move toward integrating the renewable energy sources and to divert in a direction from the fossil fuel based energy systems. The third one would be storage and grid balancing. See, if we see the renewable energy such as solar energy, wind energy, the most important problem which we come across is related to the storage, and also the availability of those solar and wind energy is not available across the day or across the year. Okay, if we are integrating it with the, because see, solar energy is not available throughout the day. Okay, so in day times it is available, you can store it and then you can utilize in the later part of the day. But the problem with the storage is limited. If we are using hydrogen, then we can convert the hydrogen, we can produce the hydrogen with the help of renewable energy such as solar and wind, and then we can store it and then again we can use it. Okay, so it is providing a better storage and grid balancing opportunities if we are using hydrogen, because see, storage of hydrogen is not easy, but if we are capable of doing it, we can store it for a longer run. And whenever there is a less availability of the electricity or less availability of the power in grid is available, then we can divert that hydrogen based energy to the power grids. Okay, so that is provide a holistic complete integration also, and along with the integration it is providing better storage and grid balancing also. We are also capable of, with the help of this, we will be capable of decentralizing our energy production. How? Because see, if we see the fossil fuel based energy system, coal based thermal power plants and other, these are centered in some pocket of the country. Okay, so the energy demand of the other sections is done through the transmission line, which further have the losses. If we are doing production of the hydrogen, green hydrogen, then we can diversify the energy production unit into the different pocket of the country, which further enhance the energy security of the nature, and it will be a decentralized approach with respect to the production of the green hydrogen. And the most important point is import reduction, because for producing the fossil fuel based energy, we are depending on the import for coal, for petroleum products. And if we are using green hydrogen, we'll be capable of doing the import reduction. Thus our expenditure in that area will get reduced. Now come to the second part of the body, how it will be capable of fighting against the climate change. The first one is lesser carbon emission or carbon emission reduction. If we have seen the entire process of the hydrogen production, green hydrogen production. There is no carbon dioxide gas emission is there. Also, when hydrogen is used as a fuel, it is much more clean fuel, because there is no production of the greenhouse gas. So this entire process and entire utilization of hydrogen is green. Okay, there is no emission of the carbon. That is why we'll be able to handle the emission of the carbon. There is no a possibility of emission of the carbon. That is the beauty. Carbon dioxide, I meant to say carbon dioxide. So that is where the lesser carbon emission will be there, which is a very important point of the green hydrogen. So let us just see, for example, if we go according to the Hydrogen Economy Outlook report, if we use green hydrogen as a fuel, about 34 reduction of the greenhouse gas emission by 2050. So we'll be seeing around 35% reduction into the greenhouse gas emission by 2050, which is a very huge number. The second important point is clean as well as a efficient fuel. So it is not only clean, we have just now seen how it is clean. Along with it is efficient also. Okay, it is efficient. That is why it is having a very good future application. For example, if we can see hydrogen fuel cell. Okay, so it is a good alternative of electric vehicle battery. We use lithium ion battery into the electric vehicle. Okay, and the problem with electric vehicle battery is the lithium ions are limited for us. Like we do not have a large resources and production of lithium in India. Also, the size of lithium battery is an issue. Also, the cost. That is why if we are using hydrogen fuel cell, what it is? It takes hydrogen as an input. Okay, and the output of this is nothing but the air and water. So the entire process, and it generates electricity or power with the help of hydrogen. So this hydrogen fuel cell is clean, okay, because we have seen it is not generating greenhouse gases. Along with it is very efficient. Which is the beauty of the hydrogen as a fuel. The third important point is vast range of various industrial applications. So we know that hydrogen is getting used across the different sectors. Okay, so presently also we are using hydrogen, but this hydrogen is not coming as a green hydrogen. It is coming as a brown hydrogen, or it is coming as a gray hydrogen, which is emitting carbon dioxide. Okay, for example, we use in petrochemical or for fertilizer sector, for ammonia making also we use hydrogen. And for semiconductor and for nuclear reactor also it is required. So if we are using hydrogen which is coming from the green sources, if we are using green hydrogen, then the vast range of application will be fulfilled. Okay, so the less emission will assure a much more sustainable way of economic growth. The fourth one point which is very important is decarbonizing hard to abate sector. Okay, let us try to understand what this hard to abate sectors are. Okay, see, there are a certain sector which is difficult to divert or decarbonize. For example, if we see heavy industry, or we see aviation sector, okay, or if we see shipping industry, it required a lot amount of energy. Okay, lot amount of energy, because they are those kind of industries where the power is required in a greater way, in a much more efficient way, in a large amount. Okay, shipping industry also. And for decarbonizing them, we require much more sustainable way of energy. We require much more efficient way of energy. So the renewable energy sources, as far as these industries are concerned, the conventional methods are used, fossil fuels are used. The renewable methods are not that much efficient with respect to these sectors. But if we talk about green hydrogen, it can fulfill it. So these are the sectors which are having difficulty with respect to decarbonization, and green hydrogen can provide sustainable solution to these industry, and that is the very important point we have to understand. It will also improve the air quality. We have seen in Delhi and surrounding, the stubble burning and the smog problem occurs every winter. So the quality of air in Indian cities is not good. Green hydrogen can improve the air quality because it will be capable of reducing the greenhouse gas emission, carbon dioxide, etc. So it is improving the air quality, because air quality improvement is very important. The quality of air we are having in our cities is cause of premature death and lungs related disease. Also, we have international climate commitment. For example, if we see the Paris Climate Agreement or the NDCs we are having, we have a target to become net neutral country by 2017, and for this we need to fulfill our requirement with respect to the climate change. We have to reduce the emission of the greenhouse gas, and green hydrogen can provide a sustainable solution in that direction. Now come to the conclusion part. Here in conclusion, we can write down the holistic approach of using green hydrogen can provide a solution to the problem of climate change, as we are trying to build the capacity with respect to the renewable energy of 450 gigawatt. So it is providing a sustainable solution along. So what we can do, we can make an ecosystem in India. We can boost the investment from the private sector. We can also harness the potential of the green hydrogen policy. There is a green hydrogen policy where if some of the manufacturers want to provide renewable energy for the production of the green hydrogen, then the transmission charges then would not be taken for the upcoming 25 years. So that is also an incentive. We can promote these kind of policies. So long-term policy should be there. We should invest into the R&D, because it is again a field which require capital also, again with the R&D. We can also provide the capacity building, and we can promote the sustainable growth into the sector by promoting a culture of the awareness. Now let us go through the model answers quickly. So in the model answer, we have given the definition of the green hydrogen, and then we have provided examples how diversification of the energy can be done for securing energy in India. Storage and grid balancing, it is provided. And what is the significance? Carbon emission reduction, decarbonizing hard to abate sector, air quality improvement, and then we have given the holistic conclusion at last. Okay, now let us discuss our second question. It is saying, analyze the potential of circular economy approach in addressing the challenges of waste management and pollution in India. Also suggest policy measures to strengthen the circular economy in India. Okay, first of all, try to understand the demand of the question. It is asking about, we have to analyze the potential. What potential does the circular economy approach is having for fighting the waste management and pollution? Okay, so we have to write down how it would be capable or it is playing a significant role in fighting waste management. And into the second part, we have to write down the policy measure. What specific policies being formed by the government, and what policies or initiative we can further take to improve the system of the circular economy in India. So that is the demand of the question. Okay. Now let us briefly try to understand why circular economy approach is important for the countries like India. See, whenever a country transforms from developing nation to developed nation, it is sure that the consumption pattern and the production pattern will get changed in that country. The consumption will get increased into the country. Okay, the production will also get increased into the country. Energy requirement, as we have seen in the first question, will also get increased. And this is the case for the India. Okay, our consumption and production patterns are changing. Okay, because we want to move toward the developing to developed nation. Now, this production change consumption and production patterns impacts our environment, biodiversity in a negative way, because pollution will get generated. Okay, so see, as we have seen, there are two ways to handle this pollution problem or waste related problem. First one is you can reduce your consumption. Okay, but this is not possible because human is having a tendency to, whenever the resources get increases, whenever the livelihood opportunities is available, the consumption pattern behavior of a human says the consumption will get increase only. So we cannot reduce it. It is limited. The second thing is, whatever material we are using across the supply chain range, whatever products we are using, we can reuse it, we can repair it. Okay, and along with it recycle it. So there are two ways: either you reduce your consumption pattern, or you just reuse, repair and recycle it. And this is basically the approach of the circular economy, which is very important for a country like India, because we are struggling with the problem of waste management. If you see the Delhi, Gazipur, it is infamous for the tons of waste accumulated there. Also, the different cities of India is also facing this problem of pollution. That is why the circular economy approach, which focuses on the reuse, repair, recycle approach, is a sustainable solution for this problem, where India can not only grow economically, but it can grow in a sustainable way. Okay, so we have seen it. Let us just briefly try to understand what other economic model we are having. There is a linear economic concept also. This is a linear economy model where we produce, which means make, take and dispose. Okay, so here we are, what we are doing, we are making the product, we are taking, using it, we are making the product, using it, and we are disposing it. So here what is happening in the each cycle, if you see in the each cycle of the production and the consumption, the energy is getting, the greenhouse gases or the climate change vulnerability is increasing. Also the pollution problem is there, because during the production also the greenhouse gas would be there. When we are consuming it, then also we are having issues. Then when we are after using also, when we are not doing disposable in a sustainable way, then also we are having problems. So this is creating a issue. Okay, now the circular economy approach, what it is focused on, if we see here, the raw material is being taken for the industrial application. Now the production is happening. After distribution, consumption is happening, and after consumption, whatever waste is there, it will be collected, segregated, okay, and after that it will be recycled and it can be used as a raw material also. So here, whatever recycled material is there, for example, recycled batteries or recycled metal or recycled other things, we can again make it for the other products also. We can use it as a raw material for the other industrial application also. And here if you see, the minimal wastage is there, the pollution is getting reduced, the wastage is getting reduced, and also we are harnessing the potential of the recycled products. So that is the beauty of the circular economy, which is not only economically viable but also environmentally sustainable. Now let us come to the demand of the question. So in the first part, we have been asked, in the introduction part, we have to write down the definition, because we have to tell them what actually circular economy is. So here in definition, what we are going to write down, circular economic system is based on the expanding the life cycle of the product by reusing, recycling and repairing and renovating, okay, existing products as much as possible. With the growing population, rapid urbanization, climate change and environmental pollution, India must move towards the circular economy, because India's circular economy is to get developed into an industry of around 218 billion by 2030 US dollar. Okay, so we have a huge potential in that also. It's not only an environmentally viable solution, but also it is economically viable also, because it is having a huge potential. We can invest into those industries which can come across the sector of the which can come across the circular economy approach. So that is the definition we can provide. Now come to the body part. In the body, will be seeing how this is able to manage the problem of the waste in India. Okay, as we have seen, it will reduce the waste, because life cycle approach we have followed. It is going to enhance resource efficiency. How it is going to enhance energy, resource and energy efficiency? Because we are using less raw material. Whatever recycled material is there, we are using as a raw material. So the pressure on the production line is reduced, thus conserving raw material and also decreasing energy water consumption. So not only resource efficiency but also energy efficiency, resource along with the resource efficiency we are having. Reduce pollution because we are recycling pollution. We are recycling the waste material and also try to generate energy through the waste material. You must have heard a concept of waste to energy. So we are trying to divert our waste material for the construction purpose also, for the energy production also. So reduce the pollution. Increase economic activity because we are trying to creating new industries, new business opportunities by generating job in waste management and recycling sector. So how this circular economy approach is helping out into the waste management. We have dealt with the first part of the body. Now come to the second part of the body where they are asking what policy measures India should take. So what policy measure? We can say we still have, if you see, we have battery management rules, we have e-waste management rule, plastic management rule. These are focusing on the recycling of the material. How? Because if we see battery management rule, it is focusing around how we are capable or how we are building a capacity with respect to the recycling of the battery, because we know we are trying to move toward electric vehicle industry. So lithium ion batteries are very limited in India. The availability of the lithium is very limited. And we are moving toward electric vehicle industry. That is why we are trying to recycle the available batteries, available waste batteries which we are having, and we can use it as a input material, as a raw material for our industries. Also, we have e-waste management rule. So here also we are focusing on the safe disposal and also recycling of the e-waste, because e-waste may be hazardous. So safe disposal is required. Along with the recycling also required, because if at all, this e-waste could be used for other industrial purposes also. If you see the growing industry into the West, they are producing the products, new electric products with the help of the recycled e-waste material, So which is again a new and thriving industry into the West. We can learn from them also. We have plastic waste management also. So what we should do? We should introduce a national policy for circular economy where all the different policies can come under a single umbrella, and we can provide the responsibility, EPR related responsibility with respect to this umbrella only. Just let us try to understand what is EPR. EPR nothing but the extended producer responsibility, where it says that the responsibility of the producer is not lying with respect to the manufacturing of product, but also when the product is being used, after that also with respect to the safe disposal and management, the responsibility of the producer lies. So here the producer is responsible with respect to the safe disposal and management of the product. So here, if we have an integrated policy, we can do this EPR related thing in a much more easier way. Also, what policy initiative we can take? We can take the policy initiative with respect to the waste management and recycling infrastructure development. See, waste management is not easy because we require to do the segregation and the management of the waste in each level. So the waste segregation facilities, the infrastructure facilities where we are converting waste to energy, we are converting waste for the construction material, these kind of facilities are required. So we have to focus on this area also. We should also provide incentive and tax benefits. For example, the products which are made from the recycling process can be provided GST incentive. What other initiative we can do? We can make the dedicated circular economy fund which can be used for the green growth and in the different research methods. We can also, develop awareness and education among the different section of the people. For example, here Life Mission is a good example which is providing a sensible consumption and the production awareness among the masses. And we can also learn from the case study. For example, Surat city in India is an example related to the waste management where they are trying to use and reuse the grey waste for the different purposes. And also Denmark is an example where they are trying to integrate the circular economy with respect to the different sectors of the economy. So we can learn it because it promotes sustainable public procurement and circular business models. Let us see the conclusion. we can write down the significance of the circular economy approach, because it is, see, as the land is limited and also the resources are limited, so only with 2% of the world's land mass and 4% of the freshwater resources, linear economy model of take, make, dispose is a very dangerous approach. So we should move toward the circular economy, because economically it viable and ecologically it is very sustainable. So what India can do? India can harness the potential. Right now we are harnessing very less. So we can provide the policies in such a way we are capable of harnessing the potential of the economy. Also we can have a clear vision. Right now we are lacking in the clear vision, and we should also invest into the infrastructure creation and the latest technology, and we should incentivize the private units and private sector to come into the sector. So that was a holistic conclusion. Let's go through the model answer. Here we have defined the circular economy, and then we have given what potential it is having for India and how policy measures taken can improve it further. Now let us discuss our third question. It is saying, discuss the significance of agroforestry in mitigating the impacts of climate change. So it is asking what role agroforestry is playing for reducing. Mitigation means reduce and curb the impact of the climate change. So how agroforestry is playing the role in reducing the impact of the climate change? Okay, so that is the demand of the question. How we can write down the introduction? The defining the term agroforestry. Okay, agroforestry is nothing but an integrated approach where we do the crop cultivation, tree plantation, and we may also have cattle with the plantation and the crop. We may or may not have cattle, and it provides several benefits. Okay, it is better for soil fertility, higher biodiversities, and it also acts as a carbon sink. So this is the definition of the agroforestry you can provide in your introduction. And also you can write why agroforestry is important, because if we see agriculture, it is responsible for around 30% of the global greenhouse gas emission, which is a huge number. And also you can see for agriculture purposes, the deforestation is happening. We are cutting down the tree. So if we are doing agroforestry, it will work as a sink, carbon sink, and it will also not, hamper the delicate balance of the ecosystem. It will also be capable of the retaining the soil moisture. Now let us see how agroforestry can play a role for climate change. Let us try to understand what agroforestry is. As we have seen here, with crop, like different crops are there. With this crop, the problem with the crop is it is emitting the greenhouse gases. For example, paddy field, it emit CH4, methane. Also, if we are doing animal rearing, it is also causing the CH4. So for fighting against this greenhouse gas emission, what we are doing, we are planting the tree. So this planting of the tree can be done into the edges of the field. Okay, or we can do in the grid pattern also, like line wise we are promoting the plantation of the tree, or in the grid pattern also we can do. So along with this field of crop, we are having the trees or the plant. This is known as agroforestry. Along with it, we may have animal rearing also. This is not compulsory, but this may also happen. So this holistic system is known as agroforestry, where we have seen the crop also there, trees are also there, and also animal rearing also are there. So what will happen, because these trees are there, it will bind the soil of the field, and it will also provide the heat stress related prevention, because the trees will shed the leaves, so which will cover the field, and it will help out into the retaining the moisture of the soil. And also if we see the water requirement, if we see the water requirement is high if we are doing the monoculture, but if we are having the plantation of the trees across, it will attract the clouds, it will attract the rain bearing clouds, it will recharge the water table of that ecosystem, of that surrounding. So it will again improve the water table of the area, and it is, as we have seen, it is capable of maintaining the soil moisture. That's why there is less chances of the droughts. Also, the different combination of the plants, trees will reduce the pest attacks. The leaves shedded by trees also work as a fertilizer for the trees. We are also capable of getting manure through the animal. So this is the holistic system where less requirement of the inputs like fertilizer, pesticides, irrigation is required. And also this is the land management approach, because if you see the hilly areas like Himalayas, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, there for the agriculture the slope is being cut down in a very bad way. So here the level like trees, shrubs, crops protects the soil, binds the soil. So the water related erosion or the erosion related to wind related erosion is getting reduced. So the quality of the soil is getting improved. The microclimatic condition of the region is getting improved. Biodiversity is getting improved. And also this entire system is much more sustainable way of agriculture for farmers also, because it is providing food also, fuel also, fodder also, fiber also. So this diverse range of the products provides security, social security, livelihood security for the farmer also. Okay, that is why it's been promoted across the globe. Let us try to deal with the first part of the body, which is saying acting as a carbon sink. We have seen how trees and plants work as a carbon sink. Okay, so through the atmospheric CO2 can be captured with the plants and also soil, leading to the green carbon and carbon sink. Improve soil health, moisture, more moisture retaining, less irrigation is required, plant green manure and optimization of the fertilizer. We have just now seen less soil erosion, because we have seen the roots of the tree work as the binding force for the soil of the region, and also less erosion due to the surface runoff water. So water related erosion, wind erosion is also less. Less requirement of the pesticide is there, because species that are disease and pest resistant could be grown in that agroforestry land. Also reducing stress for the animal and crop, because it is the trees work as the shading area for the crop also and for the animal also, which reduce the stress to plants and animal and improve the yield. What could be the other method? Helps in groundwater recharging. Livelihood also, because the farmers will get production against the price fluctuation. Diverse range of food products, profitable, it is also profitable. And in case of crop failure also, they will provide a security net. For example, if some crop is getting failed, they may have those kind of trees which is providing the fruits. So the fodder is also there, fodder material is also there, dairy products also there. So it is providing the safety net for the farmers also. It is ensuring the food security. It is also providing social sustainability, because there would be less migration, because they are having better livelihood opportunities. It is sustainable production method, because we have seen the less input requirement is there, less chemical requirement is there. That is why it is much more sustainable way of production. Environmental friendly also, eco-friendly, environmental friendly method is there. It is conserving the biodiversity, because see the diverse range of plants, animals we are having. So the ecosystem, the microclimatic conditions of that area will getting preserved. It is also a method for landscape restoration, because the degraded land could be restored with the help of agroforestry, and the quality of the soil, quality of the area can also be improved. So these also are very important point with respect to the agroforestry. Now come to the conclusion part. What we can write in our conclusion? We can write down how it is ensuring the food security and how it is capable of mitigating the impact of the climate change. Okay, so see, agroforestry climate smart farming system which enables economically viable production while significantly restoring land, mitigating climate change, safeguarding the local biodiversity, strengthening food and nutritional security of the population. So it is not only providing livelihood opportunities but also ensuring the food security of the area. It also economically viable, as we have seen, livelihood opportunities are getting ensured. And the most important part is it is not harming your ecosystem in a negative way. It is instead of that promoting the biodiversities of that area. Land restoration method is there, holistic landscape management method it is there, and it is not a new method. It is been used by the farmers from the ancient times. So it is providing opportunity for us to move towards the more sustainable way of agriculture, more climate smart way of agriculture, where the less requirement of input is required. So we can provide this kind of holistic conclusion in our answer. Now come to the model answer. So in the answer we have given the definition of the agroforestry. We have provided some of the data, how greenhouse gas emission is coming from the monoculture and how agriculture practices like agroforestry provide a solution. And then we have written the mitigation through the help of agroforestry, improving livelihood, social security, soil health. We have also mentioned how it is reducing stress and environmental friendly method, and then we have provided a holistic conclusion. So that was it for the today's discussion. Thank you very much for the discussion. Have a great day.